Welcome to episode 4 of the podcast Beyond the Surface. The topic of this episode is God ordained the systems of authority and not the behavior of those in authority. The text is taken from Romans 13, 1-7. Paul states that everyone must submit to authority because God ordains all authority. However, interpretations of this command often raise difficult questions, particularly when we witness the perverse or corrupt behavior of certain leaders. Is God the author of dictators and selfish politicians? And does Paul's command forbid citizens from speaking out or resisting such leadership? The answer to these questions lie in understanding exactly what God ordained. The Greek word for ordained means to arrange in an orderly manner. Because God is a God of order, He only ordains orderly systems designed to carry out His purpose for humanity. Furthermore, the word power means authority, force, capacity, token of control, right, and liberty. God established these structures of authority to prevent chaos and ensure order among His creation. Therefore, when Paul writes that God ordains all powers, he means that the structure of authority and control exists by God's design, and submitting to this structure helps achieve His desired orderliness. Because God does not endorse evil, these structures are intended to advance the good of society. While God arranged these orderly systems, He did not ordain or approve the sinful behavior of individuals elected or appointed to them. Like all followers, leaders possess free will, and although God has the power to control human will, He chooses not to do so. When perverted individuals assume authority, their corrupt behavior infects the structure God created, just as everyday human sin disrupts societal order. In these situations, the leader has deviated from God's intended plan for the situation and will ultimately be held accountable by God for their misuse of power. Since God ordained the position and the structures, but not the contrary behavior of occupants, we should not withhold our societal obligation because of corrupt leaders. If we utilize the systems maintained by these positions, we must contribute to their upkeep, which is why Paul instructs believers to pay their taxes and owed dues. Furthermore, we are fully empowered to speak out against the evils committed by those in authority, but we must ensure our resistance does not violate any of God's principles. God will judge every disobedience only when our obedience is complete. We cannot expect God to judge people who are doing what we are doing in the lot that God has assigned us. When God arises, His enemies would be scattered. May God grant us the wisdom to navigate perverted leadership without destroying the orderly structures He ordained and contaminating ourselves. Amen.